Welcome to Community. I'm your host, Cody Thompson, and I'm really excited to be here for today's episode. As you all know, our podcast is all about shining a positive light on things that are happening in the disability sector, people on the NDIS scheme, and we try and get a range of different people to come on and tell their story and share their journey. So I'm really excited to introduce our guest today, a good friend of mine, Corey McCaw. Corey, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here.
A little nervous, to be honest.
That's okay. We get that a bit. That's fine.
I'm an open book, so I'm just worried what I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, time will tell. No, mate, well, we're really excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about you and I guess kind of your family situation at the moment, what's been happening and where things are at.
Yeah, so I have two daughters. I've got Ayla, who's 12 years old, and we have Ella, who's 10 years old. I've actually got one on the way as well in January.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. 10-year gap, so we'll see how I feel 3 months in, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
You look very good for 56 years old.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. I moisturise. I don't know if you can tell. Absolutely. But yeah, I've got Ella, who's 10 years old and is at this stage undiagnosed, and we're going through a journey right now of going through an assessment and diagnosis. So we've got actually a second appointment tomorrow. So we're going to the Autism Association.
Fantastic.
So we're not too sure with ADHD. You've got obviously autism, and then you've got a sensory disorder.
Yep.
So I believe she's probably gone through some severe symptoms since she was about 5 years old, and now she's 10 years old. And now it's time to probably get some help.
Yeah, perfect. And I think there's so many listeners and sort of audience members that can relate to that story in some way, shape or form. And they may have been where you are now and gone, so much further down the line, or they may just be starting out like you guys.
Yeah. How's
that been? Like you said, you've already got 2 kids, a third on the way, a lot happening in life.
Yep.
How's this sort of journey to navigate been so far?
Oh, it hasn't been easy.
Yep.
I think with the situation of her mum, so we're obviously separated since 2021 now, and then she's found a new partner, I've found a new partner. So even having 2 different households, 2 different sets of rules, I get my girls 3 nights a week, her mum gets them 4 nights a week. So even that dynamic has been challenging, probably for Ella first and foremost. There's been a lot of change in her life. And I'm not an expert by any means. And you're trying to navigate it the best that you can, and you're trying to understand it. But some of the sensory symptoms that she has, it's really tough. Like, again, it's more tough on her. But there was seriously a moment where I just went, we really need to get this girl some help. Hope you don't mind me sharing.
No, please.
I got it on a screenshot just to make it super easy.
Yeah.
But she wrote in her diary a couple of months ago. And as you know, kids' diaries, you're not supposed to go anywhere near it, of course. That's their sacred space.
Yeah.
Her sister, I think she shared it with her sister, Ayla. And she started tearing up. She came to me. She went, Dad, Ella's just shared something with me in her diary. And it's made me really upset. And I went, okay, thank you. Went and checked with Ella. Hey, anything going on? Just a bit of a check-in, and anything you want to share with me, show me? No, nothing. I was like, cool, no worries. A day later, she goes back to her mum's house, and I'm just sitting there working going, oh, this is really bad. I shouldn't, but I just have to know what it is.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of a look just so worst case scenario, the worst things go through your head.
Yeah.
And she said, look, in her own words, my words, I think about myself. I hate myself and feel like no one understands. I feel like I can't make my way out of this. I'm just going through it forever. It's like heartbreaking.
It really is, man. I appreciate you sharing, but that's a lot. And to hear that from a young girl her age, and I mean, no one wants to hear that, but especially as a dad, right? Like that really rings true and breaks your heart.
Yeah.
How did you cope and process with that? And then if you don't mind sharing, but like how did you then navigate with Ella? Or you mentioned you haven't even spoken to her about it directly but that was probably the catalyst to start getting some help.
Yeah. Firstly, it was just my heart just broke. Like, she's 10 years old.
Yeah.
And probably my biggest concern, we had our first appointment, and they're like, oh, what's your biggest concern? I sort of shared that with them.
Yep.
So my biggest concern is if we don't put a label on it and she doesn't understand what this is and how to regulate herself, when she starts transitioning to high school, boys and girls and, the pressure of homework and growing up and hormones and all of that, this could lead to depression. You don't know if this is how she feels about herself now. This could really get out of control. So firstly, I was just, I was upset, and then I was frustrated at myself. Like, we saw the signs of this so long ago. We should have done something, and we haven't. So you can't dwell on the past. We're going through that journey right now, and hopefully we can get some help and support for her.
Yeah, big time. And I think that's the hard thing, right? Like, you can, in a nice way, sort of take take blame and try and take ownership of it. But you said there's no right way to do this. There's no exact path to follow. Every child, every family situation is so different. And I think the key thing is getting that help and getting the support. How have you found, or I guess a better way to word that is like, is there something so far that's really helped you, like sort of remove a boulder or get you right on track in terms of the path that you guys are going on? Like any big nuggets or steps that you've taken, even though you're at the start of the journey now, that you've felt like, oh, actually, you know, we're back on track, we're making some progress?
Yeah. The first appointment, and, you know, you've known Ella, you know, I don't know if she spoke to you for the first 5 years.
Yeah, it took a
She's
time.
got to be super comfortable with anyone before she starts talking to you.
Yeah.
But once she's super comfortable, like you can't shut her up. Like, so I knew that she wouldn't want to share too much because it's the first time she's met this person. But the first appointment, you're just sort of sitting there and, hi, Ella, how are you? Hi. Just super quiet. How old are you? 10. And after that, she gave her nothing. She's like, what school do you go to? She's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So like, oh, what do you like to do on your weekends? What hobbies have you got? And she just looks at me and goes, I forgot. Like she has absolutely just shut down. And I'm thinking, you know, is she got autism or is she just being an asshole? Like I just have no idea. As parents, we all go through those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the moment for me and what I was hoping she'd get out of it is, you know, she went out of the room and we just spoke for about an hour. She comes back in the room and the doctor just goes, you know what, Ella? Everything that you're feeling right now is actually completely normal.
Yeah, it is.
You know, she goes, 1 in 5 kids have a sensory disorder. And I'm just watching Ella see she's processing it. And that was my biggest takeaway for her is, again, put a label on it. So she goes, okay, this is what I have and it's normal and I need help. And these are the things I can do to help myself.
Yeah. And I mean, that's such a good message for kids and for adults. Like if you need help, you need to do something about it. And in a good way, sometimes the first step is the hardest step, but it can relieve so much of the pain and the angst behind what's going on.
Yeah.
You mentioned like 1 in 5 kids have that as well. You know, you don't wish that on other people, but at the same time, there must be comfort in that for both Ella, but also for yourselves as parents.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, big time. And, you know, to help the parents, like at first I used to get really flustered and frustrated.
Yeah.
Like some of the sensory disorder symptoms that she has, just as an example, you know, it's the way clothes feel. So trying to get shoes and socks on her. Sometimes you'll have 3 days and there's no issues. And then some mornings it's just like she has this big panic attack and you've got to give her a hug. You know, heart rate just going and you just got to hold it. That's all you can do. You don't know how else to explain to her what's going on because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, or her feeling really, really hot. She's 10 years old. She's got to have a spray bottle with her. So we keep 2 spray bottles in the fridge. So if you haven't got that spray bottle and it's, you know, creeping into summer at the moment, like again, a meltdown, panic attack, like all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing at the moment we can do to help her. But even them saying, oh, we think it's a sensory disorder, you know, but let's go through the journey and, you know, complete the diagnosis. Yeah. But even that has made me go, okay, I you know, patience is key. Like all you can be is patient. Yep. There's no point yelling and screaming. Like that's not going to help anything. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in a good way. I've seen you firsthand as a dad. You are such a great dad to both of your kids and soon to be 3. But it must be challenging in that sense. But like you said, now you know more. I can only feel like it must be good. You'd feel like you have more tools in your toolkit a little bit. Like you said, whether it is obviously just holding them and stuff, but like the spray bottle and stuff, like all of these little things that can help, I guess, improve the situation, for lack of a better term, when something like that is happening.
Yeah, big time. You know, tomorrow we've got our next appointment and that's apparently 3 hours.
Okay.
Me and her mum are going in and I think they're going to interview us separately.
Yep.
And then I think 2 people are going to be taking Ella through some activities and just seeing the way her brain thinks.
Yep.
Because at this stage, she's obviously undiagnosed.
Yep.
We think it's leaning towards sensory disorder, but there could be some autism based on what her school have said because they've got to fill out a report as well.
Yep.
So we've got to finish the journey first just to work out what it is.
Yeah.
But we're confident after she's diagnosed that, again, the support plan of next steps, I kind of want to get there because I just want to help her, but you can't. It's a bit of a progress. It's a slow journey.
Yeah, it really is. And like you said, you want to fast forward with good intentions, but at the same time, like it's really about finding the right answer, not just any answer and going, okay, that's going to help, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned, and I hope you don't mind me touching on this, but you mentioned obviously you and now your ex-partner split.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've shared this before, but I have 3 kids. I have 2 of my own and I'm stepfather as well. And I can really appreciate the challenges that come with that sort of step parenting side of things. So how have you guys navigated that part? But in particular, I think what we find challenging at times is there's 2 sets of rules, right?
Yeah.
We parent one way for Amelia, like on her side, dad parents a different way. And not that there's necessarily a right or wrong, but it's just different.
Yeah.
So how have you guys navigated that I guess, difference knowing that there's added complexities when it comes to Ella as well?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge I've probably had is her mum isn't a full believer of going through this process.
Yep.
So for me, the challenge has been getting her to sign off on it and getting her in a place to go, you know what we're doing right now is not working. We need to change something. She's not just going to grow out of this. Bless her, she has grown out of a lot of things as she's gotten a bit older, but some of the stuff like I was mentioning before, those examples, she's not growing out of it. It's actually intensifying, getting worse. So for me, the biggest challenge is get her to sign off on it, just to go, hey, if we're going to do this, I know 2 different houses, 2 different parenting styles, but when we go there, we both need to be present. We both need to listen. And when we walk away, we need to take whatever they say on board, and it needs to come into both households. The worst thing we can do is I'm embracing it and things are changing and I'm trying different things to implement it. And then, she doesn't. And then Ella's even just more confused going back and forth between 2 households.
Yeah.
So that's probably been the biggest challenge. And her mum just, she's got, with my 2 daughters at home, she's got 4 kids in total.
Yep.
So, for Ella, I don't know how much attention she's even getting there with 4 kids.
Yep.
As you know, when you've got 4 kids, it's a noisy household.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just again, I don't know what's always happening there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just hard when you've only got them 3 nights a week to try and unpack what's happening and again, having an impact.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think, again, you're doing a great job of starting that conversation, trying to have consistency. And there's only to a point what you can do versus, what is actually happening. But yeah, again, can only imagine the challenges that it comes with. But I think having a plan and talking it through clearly, communication is key, right?
Yeah.
You touched on, obviously, you've got the appointment tomorrow and you're still very early stages of getting this all sorted. As someone, and obviously I work in the disability sector, so I have some understanding of, the wait times, the process and stuff like that. But even for me, learning the sector and understanding it all was really eye-opening.
Yeah.
What about for you? You work in a completely different sector. You've never, been involved, I don't think, directly with disability or anything like that until obviously recently now going through some of these challenges.
Yeah.
What's been surprising or eye-opening for you going through this?
I think the biggest takeaway is, again, it's got to be on the parent for us to try and do something about it.
Yep.
As I mentioned, I wish I'd done something about this 5 years ago. So I feel like, are we too late? Are we not too late? But once we went to the GP, because you need to go to the GP just to get a referral. Yep. To start with. So even going on that journey, Ella's got to come with you, and obviously she's not willing to share a whole lot. So even then, I think that was back in March, we went for that first GP appointment. And then, they give you all of the forms, because I could imagine there's a lot of interest and a lot of people want to get their kids diagnosed for different reasons. So I guess in a way, they've got to make sure they've got all the information before they book in that first appointment. So you get the forms, and then I don't know what I have. I probably have something, but it probably doesn't help. But when I got the forms, instead of just reading the first question, I started scrolling down, and as I started scrolling down, it was 20 pages long. Yeah. And I was just that's it. I'm out of here. I'll have a look at this later, which is not great, but it's just the way my brain's wired. Okay. When there's so much there, I was just it's hard work. But then you sit down, you just do it. An hour you spend on it, and then you come away, you do it again, another hour. I don't know, the more you're unpacking it and you're sort of going down that journey again, it gets a lot faster because you're actually seeing the value in getting everything out. Yep. Even if you're just writing it down. That was one of the most surprising things for me, is seeing everything on a page and just going, oh, this is a lot. Yeah. This is a lot.
And there must be some comfort though. And again, I'm speaking out of experience here, so you tell me if not, but I think there must be some comfort though in seeing different things on a form or a checklist and go, okay, well, someone else has gone through this before, or someone else understands this, or this question leads to something, if you know what I mean. Because before then it sounds like it was just this ambiguity of not knowing what was going on, what are the challenges are. So yeah, it's a lot, but at the same time, it does give some comfort in that sense.
Yep. And even, that first appointment, at the Autism Association, they're just so great with kids. As much as Ella's not trying to share, they do a phenomenal job at making everyone try and feel really comfortable, which is really, really key, I think, through the whole journey. And I'm sure she'll open up eventually once she's comfortable. We'll be there 3 hours tomorrow. First hour, she's going to give nothing away. And then she'll start feeling comfortable, probably as we're leaving, to be honest. She'll probably won't want to, where are we going?
That, don't they?
Why are we going? I'm having a great time here, just as we're going, oh, great.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Autism Association, but whether it's them or not, but I wanted to ask, like, is there either a person in particular or an organization or a website or resource, like something that's really helped you to this point that's been really useful that other people might take some sort of solace in checking out?
Yeah, just honestly, that website that they have, I think they're in Shenton Park.
Yep.
And in the room, like, cool. So quick conversation for an hour just to work out what's going on. Obviously, it's ADHD, autism, sensory disorder. They're just trying to work out where she is on that spectrum. So we're not finished as of yet, but it's leaning towards this side. And she sort of said, here's our website, here's a whole bunch of resources, which actually work out for a sensory disorder, as an example. Here's all the symptoms. So you're working through it and you're actually working with Ella on it, going, do you feel like this? And like, no, okay, no, yes, yes. And all of a sudden, she doesn't tick all of them, but she ticks quite a few of them, and they're quite severe, some of the ones that he does feel. But even going on that journey has been actually really beneficial for both me and her as well. So there's heaps of resources on that website in between the appointments that can kind of help you.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping on the back of tomorrow, and then there'll be another appointment, there's just even more and more and more. I do feel like there will be some sort of situation where we'll need to speak to a professional, where she will need to open up a little bit eventually as well.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, I mean, again, it's good to know there's so much out there. At times it can be almost confusing because there's so much, but there are some great organisations that do a fantastic job. So that's really good to hear.
Yep.
I want to sort of talk a little bit and just sort of unpack, but like one thing, and we talk a lot about this podcast, like inclusion.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to get your take on what inclusion means to you. Because in particular now, like you mentioned, you've got 2 kids, soon to be 3, one with these, I guess, extra needs and challenges, but just more broadly, like what in your own words does inclusion mean?
Inclusion for me is, I think it's just understanding that, firstly, everyone's normal.
Yeah.
And define normal. Like if I think about Ella and her challenges, but then my oldest Ayla, you've got to make sure that who's hasn't got a sensory disorder, and her younger sister's 2 years younger than her. Just trying to take her along for the journey, just to understand maybe why we not that she gets any more attention, but why sometimes we do have to parent her a little bit differently to her sister. Yep. And you got to be super conscious of that as well. Like one of them is in trouble and you've got to parent a certain way, and then she does something, and sometimes you can come down a bit harder on her because you've got to be really worried about how you approach Ella. Yep. So even that, sometimes you've got to pause and go, hey, even Ayla doesn't understand what's going on. So you've in terms of being inclusive, like you just got to understand both of those kids. And so I have started to take Ayla away and start talking to her openly about it, to say, have you noticed anything? Like, you spend all your time with your sister and sometimes you want to kill her, and vice versa. But do you understand why she frustrates you, and vice versa? Because they are so different because of the challenges. And for me, that's been super important, not just to focus on Ella, but also Ayla, as well as the older sister who hasn't gone through any of these challenges, to make sure she feels included as well. And she's just not forgotten about.
I think that's the thing. Like, again, so many people with good intentions can focus all their time on child A, I'm going to say, but child B or C or D or E gets left behind, and it can be really challenging. So I love that. I think it is so important that everybody is different, and as a result, you need to embrace that difference and in different ways make sure they feel included with what's going on. So yeah, we love that. I know, going back to the diary that you shared at the start, but that came from Ayla saying, hey, Dad, like, this is big, and they talk. So they obviously have a really great relationship. Like, how does that dynamic work? And like you said, they want to kill each other sometimes. That's part of being kids and having brothers and sisters. But how does that dynamic work between the two of them?
I know there's a lot of love there.
Yeah.
But just usual sibling rivalry. Well, you've got siblings, so do I. They're 2 years apart, but they're like the same height. So sometimes when they turn around, you think they're twins a lot of the time. But they'll just, I don't know, man. Like, they don't stop bickering like old ladies. I call them Mary and Mavis or Beavis and Butthead at times. But, just trying to get them to play a game of Monopoly by themselves. One of the, it doesn't take long for one of them to kick off, or, Ella just wants to give her money away and go, and then all of a sudden they want to punch each other up, and it's like separate them. And then half an hour later, hey, do you want to play Monopoly again? Yep. let's do it. And then 10 minutes later, you're in the same situation.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of love there, but just the usual sibling rivalry does not go away.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. Like good that for both ends they've got someone to confide in and sort of work through together. And yeah, it sounds like in the best way, the most typical sister and sister relationship in that sense. So,
But it's just all in terms of consistency. As I mentioned, they spend 4 nights with their mum, then back to me for 3 nights, and they're going back and forth together. So really, the most consistent things they have in their lives is each other, which can probably drive each other nuts. But also, there's a lot of love down there, deep down.
it's there.
If you ask Ella.
Focusing back on Ella for a second, but you've mentioned some stuff briefly and sort of scratched the surface on school. I can only imagine that's a big challenge in itself, both, I guess, navigating it and setting Ella up for success in that sense. But firstly, like, how's it been, like, working with the teachers and stuff like that? Have they been really supportive, or has it been challenging at times? Just making sure that Ella, again, is included but also sort of supported.
I think we would have loved them to be a little more transparent with us with some of the challenges. You see the report cards and you look through the report cards, everything seems fine. I think in kindy and even going through pre-primary, there was some, not concerns, but, she wants to keep to herself. She's not very social. If her name gets read out for an award, she's like, I'm not getting up there in front of everyone. But then as she started getting older, starting to get more confident, had a circle, a group of friends. But probably the biggest challenge for me is the school had to do a form. So the school psychologists and the teachers that she's had all get together and they fill out this form. And I'm reading through it and I'm going, why didn't they get us in? Like, there's some stuff here I'm reading through it going, oh boy, I didn't know that at all, and I feel like there was opportunities for them to go, we have concerns, maybe come on in and let's talk it out. But there was really nothing until I read this. And all I get in between is these reports. Is there a reason to come in and speak to the teacher? Yes or no? No. Okay. You assume everything's fine.
Yep.
And then out of nowhere, I'm reading this report that all her teachers in the psych put together. And I'm like, I would have loved them to call me or her mum to come in to talk about it, because I just didn't feel blindsided, but I was like, there's a lot here at school. And I assume she masked everything and she gets home and it's like, bleh. But no, there's definitely symptoms and signs at school, but I actually didn't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a tough thing, right? Because like you said, from your end, it's kind of like it was nothing and then there was something really quickly. So like I can see that end. And then you can also have like some kind of appreciation for the teachers and go, well, they've got, a bunch of, we were kids, there's plenty of you and I and everyone else in that class sort of thing. So there's a lot going on, but you're right. Like the sooner you're looped in and involved, and I think even just like aware, looking for signals, looking for things, if you had some of that stuff, I guess a bit earlier, potentially things could be different as well.
Yeah, and I feel for the teachers, maybe they don't feel like maybe they can't say something.
Yeah,
maybe some parents aren't as open as, we think we're seeing some autism symptoms. Can they even say that? Probably not. I don't know. I don't know how you would even approach that. And some parents might get quite defensive as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, there's always two sides to a story, which I can appreciate.
Yeah.
But look, we're here now and we've got the school side of the story, and it's definitely helped going through the journey.
I'd love to know. I know you're a big thinking man. You're always playing with things.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, you really are.
Have you spoken to Casey before?
Yeah, she gave me some notes. No. But like, would you have any suggestions? Like, I'd love to, only because again, I can only imagine there's so many people that listen to this that would be able to relate to that in some way, shape or form. Maybe just talk through your own experience, but like as a parent, then would it be as simple as you'd rather have got a note home sooner saying, hey, we need to chat. I think there's something going on here, or like how would you improve the process so that you potentially find out a bit sooner?
I think there's, again, there's always two sides to a story, and a teacher could have 30 kids in her class with all sorts as well. So maybe it's hard to, especially when Ella, she's so quiet in a class. So sometimes the teacher may be just going, if anything, like she's very low maintenance, but maybe they're the kids that probably need most amount of help. I don't know. But for me, the awareness of going, okay, we saw the signs at 4 or 5 years old, and we just thought she'd grow out of it. I guess they do grow out of some things, and sometimes it can be like a light switch. One day they don't want to do toilet training, as you know, and then one day they're like, hey, look at me, I can do it. I'm the best at this. You feel like everything's going to be a light switch moment. And then there's just some things, like I said, the way clothes feel, the tags and some textures, straight away that she had that from 4 or 5 years old and she still has it. So for me, that's a behavior. And this feeling hot situation has actually only escalated in the past 3 months out of nowhere. So that's one thing is just going, oh boy, like it's just one thing leads to another.
Yeah.
But in going back to the school situation is at the very bottom where it says, is this worth a conversation, yes or no? Maybe don't look so much from a school point of view on her, I don't know, the metrics. Maybe it's more so how she is in the class, how social she is, how confident she is to speak in front of other kids.
Yep.
Her circle of friends, when you're interacting with her, maybe that can tell more of a story than how good she is at reading a book or that's an example. I guess I'm not an expert whatsoever, but I guess that would have definitely helped us a few years ago, I think.
All right. Now we're going to move into a bit of a different section. So we're going to do something called the Sharp 7. Obviously, you and I can talk for days. So we're going to try and give
I'm
you...
just getting started.
I know you are.
There's
There's a lot to go through. But I think these ones are designed to be a little bit shorter and sharper, but just covering off some different questions I'd love to get your sort of understanding on. So the first one is... This one is a one-word answer.
Is this about my fantasy football team?
Look, no, we won't bring that up today as a two-time reigning Brownlee medalist, premiership coach. No, we won't do that. But no, I guess the first question is, what's one word that sums up your life right now?
Overwhelming.
What's been your biggest learning in the past 12 months?
That's a really good question. My biggest learning is that it's absolutely fine that you're not an expert and sometimes you need to ask for help.
That's a very, very good call out. I think there's a lot of us that can probably learn a lot from that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about what helps you? And again, probably context for everybody, but you mentioned obviously 2 kids, you're a third on the way.
Yeah.
I know as well you're planning a wedding. So congratulations for that as well.
Yeah.
But you got a lot going on. What helps you stay grounded when things feel overwhelming? Because again, you work full time, obviously Casey works. So how do you stay grounded when things are getting tough?
Humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just so important that life is not easy and there's no instruction booklet for it whatsoever, but there's pockets of moments where you got to have fun. Humor for me is just so important. Not making a joke of every situation. There's times to turn it on, time to turn it off. But God, we're only here once. We might as well try and have a good time while we're doing it.
Totally agree. All right. What about who's been in your corner throughout this journey? Like, is there someone in particular that's, again, helped you be grounded, but helped you on the good days to really enjoy it, but at the same time helped you on the tough days when things have been
my fiance Casey. If it wasn't for her, I don't think we would be, I guess, along this journey as quickly. And she's got a really tough situation. She's playing the role that you're playing, as the stepmom, where she's, they're biological, not her kids, but she cares for them just as much as they are. But she, in terms of trying to influence me and Amy to get the diagnosis and get the appointments, she has been the biggest driver to get this done because she sees the value that, hey, we do need help and you can't do this by yourself.
Yep.
And not just for Ella and the whole household, but she's just helped me as a person. And I met her at 36, 37 years old or 50 years old if you go by you. But she's just helped me unpack so much even of myself and my mental health as well. So, yeah.
You are very lucky. Done very well. Definitely punching there, but that's fine. We'll take that on the next episode.
Not the only one, pal.
Absolutely. What's one small moment recently that's just made you really proud as a dad?
The proudest. That's a really hard one. I think it was Ayla coming to me and just going, "Hey, Ella's shared something with me.
Yep.
You need to know what this is. I'm not going to tell you what it is, even at 12 years old, to understand that.
Yep.
But my sister, she knows she's got challenges. She doesn't know exactly what it is, but she's wrote something that's upset me. Like, I need your help, Dad.
Yep.
For me, that was really cool. As heartbreaking as it was.
Yep.
For me, I was super proud of her. And even from an Ella point of view, like even trying her to understand, hey, it looks like you do have a sensory disorder, and trying to explain that to her. When I call it moments, when she's in those moments of having a bit of a panic attack because she's hot or the shoes and socks aren't feeling right, she's having a bad moment. We just had one on Saturday where we're just going to City Beach just to get her some new bathers for summer. And even, taking her into the changing room to get changed. And all of a sudden you could tell she was not comfortable and she's getting hot. You got the spray bottle there and then she's almost drenching herself like a drowned rat. And it's heartbreaking. But then she's out of the moment and you're going for a walk with her and she's holding my hand. She just goes, "I'm sorry, Dad." And I'm like, "What are you saying sorry for? You have a sensory disorder. Like, this is completely normal." Try and reinforcing those things that the doctor said. And then her start going, yeah, like, you're right, I do have a sensory disorder. Her saying it back to me, it's like, even at 10 years old, again, it's progress, but it was quite recent, but that's a moment that made me feel super proud.
Big time. There's a lot of courage in the household by the sound of things on both sides. But like you said, incredible by Ayla to understand enough and sort of share that.
Yeah.
But equally Ella in terms of how she's going through it and understanding and processing where she's at as well. So
she has her moments, trust me, where it's, we're just at lunch yesterday. And we're just having a lunch, and as soon as she sits down, and I didn't bring a spray bottle because we're trying to. It's like when you drop a frog in boiling water, it jumps out straight away. But when it sits there, it doesn't move as it starts to heat up. So we're trying to get it just to acclimatize a little bit. Like, just breathe. Like, it's fine. You're going to acclimatize. It's a little bit warmer than it is outside, but you don't need your spray bottle. And I could tell straight away, lunch isn't going to go well. Yeah. I've actually got to walk back to the car and get it. And she actually didn't use it. It just sat there. But it's almost like a safety net for her in a way.
But that's progress.
It's progress, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, a couple more. You're doing really well in the show up 7. Only about 15 minutes there, so well done. No, that's good. What's one piece of information or like a resource that you wish you had earlier?
Casey.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I feel like if Casey was in my life, 6 years ago, I think it would have sped everything up, to be honest. The influence she's had has been incredible.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And last question out of this one, the Sharp 7, but how do you define community in your own life?
Family, and not just family, brothers and sisters and that, but and friends as well. Yourself and Benny, we go around for that annual trip once a year, and it's a family. We've done that for 4 or 5 years now. And for me, it's just not your immediate family, it's your extended family. Totally. Everyone wants the best for you and your family.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
It's not as sharp as you wanted.
No, look, it's good. It's good. Like you said, there's a lot to unpack, and we can talk for days. So
I'm also on 2 coffees as well. So it's as sharp as you.
We should have done a warning. Yeah, 2 coffees onto this. That's okay. Well, after today and our conversation, is there a message that you want to leave with the audience, whether it be a story of encouragement, whether it's a call to action, like something that you can leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I think as we've spoken about, you're not the expert. As much as you think they're going to grow out of, they're probably not. I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned around autism at the moment, going through that journey, is the signs are there from really early on, even before they go to school. And you go through the symptoms of autism, and it's actually behaviors that they have really, really early on. So they're asking you a lot of questions. Oh, what did she do when she was 3 years old? How was she at 4 years old? And I'm sitting here going, how long ago was that? I can't remember. And I'm asking her, Mum, do you remember? I was at work. Like, do you remember anything? So for me, it's like, if we had jumped on this at the time, I feel like we would have been where we are now. We've even made even more progress. We probably would have got a diagnosis much earlier, and she would understand what she has. So my big call out to parents is, if you're seeing those behaviors early on, ask help, ask questions. There's nothing wrong with it. Even for peace of mind, like, I honestly feel like even if we get on this and there's no autism, but it's a sensory disorder, oh man, like, it's so much better for her and for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a really powerful message, mate, and it comes from a really great place. And I think there's a lot of people out there that can resonate with your story, whether it be, they're there now or they went through it 12 months ago, 3 years ago. Like, I just think there's so many people that have gone through this as well. So really powerful message. But just thank you, mate. Thank you. As you said, you're an open book, but you really are. You share everything. You wear your heart on your sleeve. And like I said, you're a great friend, but you're also a great dad and a great partner, according to Casey as well. So you're doing a good job, mate. You're ticking all the boxes.
Don't make me cry.
Awesome, mate. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Perfect.